Alrighty, welcome back. This is going to be the Adobe Bridge Part 3 from JHP Video Tutorials. So let's check this out. What we're going to do now is start working with our images in Photoshop. So how would we go about doing that? Well, pretty easy. We just have to open them. So there's a bunch of different ways to open them. Now you can just double click and it'll open up right in Photoshop. Whoops, let me just close this window. And it'll just open right up in Photoshop. And then you can close this. And then now you got to get back to Bridge, so you can just simply click this Bridge button here, and that'll switch you right back to Bridge. There you go. Now, if it's a raw file and you double click it, it's not just going to open up like that. It's going to actually open up in the ACR raw editor, and you can then just click Open Image right here, and then it'll open in Photoshop, like so. So now notice here, we're still working with our raw file, but we're working on it in Photoshop. We're not working on it in the raw editing ACR developer. So that's pretty cool. So you don't have to use that if you don't want to. I'm just going to close this. Don't save. Now I'm going to switch back to Bridge. All right. Now, one other thing while we're here, let me just show you. I just wanted to show you that if you can have videos and audio and all sorts of files here in Bridge, it's not limited to just pictures. I mean, you can have Word documents, all sorts of stuff like that, and you can preview it. Really cool stuff.
Going on, this is Jay from JHP Video Tutorials.
You can play them, you can adjust the volume and all that. So I figure you probably knew that just because of some of the settings we were going through, but I just wanted to show you guys that in case you didn't know. But in any event, that's pretty much it. That's how you open photos in Photoshop. You either double click them, or you can right click and click open, or you can go up here and go file open. Alright, so now let's just double click this image here, and then we'll go into Bridge. So let's scroll down, let's find a good one here. I guess we'll just use this one. I'll double click that. That's going to open up. Alright, so now we're in Photoshop, and we're looking at the picture. So let's say we want to open another photo, but we don't want to go back to Bridge. Well, that's where Mini Bridge comes in. Now check this out. See this little MB here, Launch Mini Bridge? You got one over there, and then there's one over here to the right as well, Mini Bridge. So I'm going to click that, and this is going to launch a little window, and it's pretty cool. It's kind of just like Bridge, it's just smaller, and it actually is looking at Bridge in the background. So I'm just going to click the Settings options first and adjust some settings in here. So just click on Bridge Settings and click this Start Bridge Automatically and Resume Browsing button, and use an existing window should be fine. Alright, so then just click this Home button, and then what we're going to do is I'm going to go back to the settings real quick. Go back to the settings, and I'm just going to go to Appearance. I'm going to adjust this and make it a little darker, kind of like my Bridge. And then this button right here, Color Manage Panel, you definitely want to check that. You want this panel color managed. And the reason why you want it color managed is because Photoshop is color managed. And when you're working on an image in Photoshop, if you save it, for instance, and then you're looking at it over in Mini Bridge, you want the colors to look the same. And if Mini Bridge is not being color managed, the colors aren't going to look as close as they could. So make sure you have this option checked. Very important. Alright, so let me just hit the Home button here. And then you can just go browse for files. Check this out. And then you, just like the other Bridge, you can pretty much navigate to where you want to go. And I'm in that same folder. I'm on the desktop, and I'm in the Garin folder, which is pretty cool. And then notice up here you got all the tools, just like you do in Mini Bridge, or I'm sorry, just like you do in Bridge. You can filter everything to make it easier to find your stuff. Very cool. All sorts of options. You can sort your files, and same thing, you can adjust the size of the thumbnail. It's pretty self-explanatory because it's just like Bridge. So I'm not going to go over all this stuff because it's pretty common sense. But check this out. One thing that's cool is up here in the panel view. Preview pod. Select that. Now that's going to add a preview pod for you, so when you select an image, you'll have a preview. So one cool thing that I like to do is I like to just click and drag this panel out, like so, and have a much bigger panel. And then I like to drag this down and get a nice big preview pod. There we go. Now when we scroll through, we can find our images a little better. And then when you can just collapse Mini Bridge by clicking the Mini Bridge button, like that, and that'll get rid of it. Or you can just click it again to open it. So it's pretty cool. It's just like regular Bridge. If you double click the image, it will open in Photoshop. And to hide the Mini Bridge panel, now to see your image, you can just simply click this Mini Bridge button and it'll go away. Also notice up here, if you right click, there's some panel options. You can have this auto collapse iconic panel here. That's pretty cool because when you have a panel open like this or a history panel, all you have to do is click on your image and the panel automatically closes. That's a pretty cool feature. You might want to enable that. And again, you just have to right click right here on this dark gray area. If you right click, it'll bring up those options. So pretty cool. So that's pretty much Mini Bridge, and that's really all there is to it. So you can play around with it just like Bridge, and again, you have those options. If you go into settings, you can always reset your settings right here, reset preferences. So if you ever screw anything up, you can always just reset preferences and you're good to go. So, and then you can just click your home button, go back to browse files, and make your way around. Pretty cool. So I hope you guys learned something in this one, and in the next video, we're going to go into some Photoshop stuff, so stay tuned and have a good one.